Morning. Give it maybe like 1 more minute or so to see if anyone else joins us. I think there's a chance we get done with notes today because we're almost caught up, which is awesome. We are caught up. We are caught up with notes that were actually assigned yesterday, technically, so which is perfect. But I think I'll get through both yesterday's and today's notes, and then technically we wouldn't have to do notes tomorrow. But just stay tuned because I might end up doing same morning session at 8 o'clock just to answer any questions about the Padlet, which hopefully we'll post this morning, and the 2 little mini assessments. For my eye. Okie dokie. I was really secretly hoping that Samiha would be here today because apparently she had some kind of lizard incident yesterday, and I'm dying to hear all about it.
She tried getting on, but I think her Wi-Fi, it's not working.
Did the lizard eat it?
Probably, but she called animal control like 10 times, and then they were all really rude to her, and then finally this lady like helped her out, but like they couldn't do much because apparently like lizards are protected animals.
Who knew?
And then finally this like guy named Peter came around, and then he was like, yeah, it's gonna be $1,000 to get the lizard. So I don't know what happened after that though.
Oh my gosh. Does she live here in El Segundo?
He lives in Torrance.
Oh my goodness, the rare protected Torrance lizard. Okay, poor thing. All right, well, if you hear from her, tell her I'm dying to know the whole story eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make for a great quarantine story later. All right, let's see. I always do that. I always try to write with a real pencil on the computer first. That's not good. Okay, we're going to share a whiteboard. That's what we're doing. Okie dokie. Let's see. How do I get this? Oh, no. What's happening? There we go. Okay. No, I think that's going to be in a bad spot. Sorry, just talking to myself. No big deal. Purple kind of day. So we're at 37 now. If you're trying to keep track of where we're jumping to. So we're at the beginning of 37, talking about communities. And we've said this word a lot in talking about ecology and as we get into all the different behaviors of the animals. So we've said this word a lot, but now it's just officially being defined. So it's an assemblage of all the populations of a species that live close enough together to interact. So when we think about the community of El Segundo, that's kind of a loose term that we use to describe all the people that live here in El Segundo, but really a community as it's defined would include all the birds and all the squirrels and all the trees and plants and flowers and bees, etc. And anytime species within a community interact with one another, regardless of whether that interaction is positive or negative, that's called interspecific interaction. I can already tell I'm writing way too big, but oh well, we'll fit it. So again, interspecific interaction, relationships that greatly affect the dynamic of the community. Oh, just found the back button. Oh. I complained all day yesterday about not having a back button. All right, so there's all types of these interspecific interactions. Again, this is just the grouping in general when species interact with one another within a community. And I guess we can talk about some examples in a little bit. But we're going to have a bunch of these. So best case scenario, both parties or both species that are interacting have a positive outcome. That's known as mutualism. So usually that means that the members of different species are maybe after the same resource, but it turns out there's plenty to go around for everybody. And so they can all live harmoniously. And the complete opposite of that, where there's not plenty to go around and the species that are interacting are both being affected negatively, is called competition. So we're going to take a little side trip for a second, spinning off of competition, just to kind of probably just a reminder about what a niche is. Remember this word from freshman bio, because it's just fun to say, because there's so many ways you can say it. Niche, niche. But that's just the little micro environment that belongs to an individual. And it's all the things that are in it as well. So Miss Masonette's niche is my apartment and the couch that's inside of it and the bed and the oat milk in the refrigerator and my blanket and my shower and all my clothes. So all of that is part of my niche. But the problem, especially in the wild, is that niches can overlap a little bit. And that overlapping of niches is what causes competition. Okay, going back to our interspecific interactions. We have interspecific interactions where it's negative for one species, but benefits another. There are two that kind of branch off of this. One being predation. Where one animal kills and eats another. And the other is called herbivory. Where one animal plants. So we think of like, you know, vegetarians, herbivores, people that don't eat meat, that are just so kind to the environment. Well, talk to a plant and they'll probably say the opposite. The plant's like, don't eat me. It's definitely not beneficial for the plant to be eaten. Gosh, there was a movie where one of the characters was, oh, a fruitarian? No. Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's like a fruitarian or something, that they believed that plants and vegetables and fruits all have feelings and you shouldn't kill them. I forget what it was. She was so funny. And you could only eat a fruit if it fell from the tree and had already died or something like that. That is extreme. All right. Just a little spin-off of predation. Again, this has got to be review from even when you were like a little kid. But in order to protect themselves from predation, animals that maybe are being hunted or are the prey, over time genetically develop cool selections like camouflage and mimicry. Mimicry with an E or a Y? Let me write that more clearly, just because I don't actually know how to spell it, but I wasn't writing clearly. Mimicre or Y? Anyone? I have no idea. All right, back to our one benefits, one loses. We have one more. And I don't know why I made it a dotted line. It's not like it's not real. It's very real. Oh yeah, Amelie?
What were you trying to spell?
Mimicry? Mimicry.
I don't think it's it's with a Y at the end.
A Y at the end. Perfect. Thank you. I was trying to make it French or something. I'm not sure. Camouflage and mimicry. And how ironic, because Ameline, I'm guessing you have some French in you.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah, so our last one benefits, one doesn't is our parasites and pathogens. How we doing? Another maybe 15 seconds and I'll switch it to the next slide. That was 37 in a nutshell. Alrighty. Oh, I don't know how I did that, but that looks great. Trying to get rid of that for weeks. Okay. All right, so when one species of a community is lost, it's called extirpation. And that is not a good sign for a species to move away from a community, be depleted from a community completely. They're all signs of trouble for that species. Because eventually the species could disappear altogether from all populations. And that, of course, is called extinction. I know it seems kind of a waste, but the way I have the next part laid out, I already need to change to another slide so that I don't run out of space. So give me another 10 seconds or so. So obviously, we don't want that to happen. The animal that's being threatened definitely doesn't want it to happen. So more and more, our society as humans have become more in tune to that and more protective against it, which is good. But still, we discuss the ways we do threaten biodiversity. And I say we because unfortunately, most of the threats to biodiversity are human-made. So when we talk about biodiversity specifically, we're talking about an area, or again, a community, an ecosystem that is that has species within it that are being threatened, not necessarily extinct yet, maybe not even to the point of extirpation, but in general, the diversity of the community has been depleted in some way. Lots of ways that threaten biodiversity. First one, habitat loss. That could be deforestation. That could be because of natural disaster. Something's happened to the actual place where the animals and plants live. Next one, invasive species, which we already talked about before. But basically, another species that doesn't usually live there that comes in and wreaks havoc on an environment. Most commonly, humans. We are an invasive species. Next threat, over-harvesting. Again, deforestation can be slapped into this category. But then even the way we farm is not exactly great for the environment, whether it's because we're farming and harvesting fruits and vegetables, or farming and harvesting animals for our own consumption. It takes an area of land that normally could be diverse, and instead makes it extremely singular. I'm sure most of us have taken a trip, through California at some point, maybe right up the middle, up the 5, and you're just driving through hundreds of miles of farmland where you could go 50 miles and only see orange groves, or another, 20 miles just of cattle. So those areas are not diverse at all. Ooh, somebody in the chat. Sameha, she made it. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, catch up on this last little bit, and then we have to have a chat about this lizard. I'm so interested. Okay. Awesome. Another threat? Not awesome. Pollution. So many types of pollution. And we kind of said it, I think it was yesterday, but one of the brighter notes of the pandemic is the decrease in pollution. And lastly, that hot, sexy word right now, climate change. Climate change is the warming of the atmosphere due to the rising greenhouse gases. And our greenhouse gases are mostly CO2, but we get a lot of methane too. Oops, that's not methane. I guess I should write this. Mr. Whalen texted me the other day. I think he was just trying to make me laugh, which was very nice. But he texted me and he said, Miss Masonette, is water 2 H's and an O or 2 O's and an H? And it made me laugh really hard. All right, how can we study all of this and try to fix it? Conservation biology. Now this is a new, like, up and coming major at many universities. Conservation biology, obviously kind of a stem off in environmental science, but this is a new popular one that a lot of schools are adding very specifically as a major. So lots of things that conservation biologists take into account. They look at and study specifically hotspots. Those are spots on the planet that have lots of biodiversity. Unfortunately, there's not that many left. And even the most beautiful hotspots, excuse me, are being depleted and affected by climate change. But they look at those and what makes them so great and thriving and try to keep them that way and then mimic those in their efforts towards other areas. So one of the more famous hotspots is Costa Rica. It's just thriving. And that's also because the country is really good about conserving their resources and protecting the habitats that exist. The second one. Protect those habitats, yo. So countries have the ability to set up what are called reserves, which are areas where no humans are allowed. And therefore, the natural ecosystems can exist without being interrupted by any of the threats. And the setting up of those regional reserves are usually a part of national conservation efforts. So again, countries have control over trying to take any hot spots or warm spots in their regions and really protecting them. And then sometimes when it looks like an ecosystem is going to overlap over a border, this effort becomes international. So there's a big effort to combine, there's this big belt of reserve in the northern Midwest area of the United States that goes from like Wyoming through Montana, some of the Dakotas, that includes like Yellowstone National Park, in that area through the Rockies, and that extends up into Canada And they also have lots of reserves set up in that same region, just to the east of the Rockies. But there's an effort going to try to combine these into one big thing that we share with Canada in that effort. Let's see, we've got 2 more. Got restoration efforts. Which are different than conservation, right? Conservation is keep it the way it is. Restoration is, oh, we messed it up, let's see if we can restore it. And then in general, and we talked about this a little bit a couple days ago, I think, but just creating an environment and a system that enhances sustainability. And we're doing that. We really are, especially, you know, in the United States, and our friendly neighbors are really making a great effort towards conservation science, towards sustainability. Unfortunately, we continue to do lots of the other bad stuff too. So unfortunately, we're just barely reaching the point where we might be evening things out, but we're not making forward progress yet. That's it. We're done with ecology, well, at least notes-wise, and we're so close to being done with activities and assignments. Anyone still need the notes? I'm going to stop sharing in just a sec here. Okay, so since we finished, let's see here. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys have your notes way more organized than me. This is a disaster. Okay, let's see. Look at this. Is this how you guys take notes? This is not right. What is happening here? Okay, so what I will do is try to organize this nonsense. Oh boy. I will organize that, take some lovely pictures and post those too, just in case anyone, you know, you had a hole one day or you missed it or something and you really want to complete notes how we did them here. That's totally fine. Again, not a huge deal. And then you can drop notes of any kind that you took into that notes drop box, and you are done with that. What else? What were we talking about at the beginning? We were talking about morning brain. What did we say? We were saying something about, oh, tomorrow, duh. Okay, yeah, so we finished all of the notes that were assigned now. So we went all the way through 38, which was the last section that I assigned. So tomorrow's session, if you want to, again, totally optional, the 8 o'clock session will just be more for questions about maybe the 2 assessment assignments that are going to pop up today, and Patrice's Padlet finally. I checked Padlet this morning. It seems like it's healed from whatever happened to it yesterday. So I should be able to post Patrice's Padlet this morning. And again, Patrice's Padlet, do whatever or not, you know, it's, again, that's totally your choice. It's not going to come down at all. And then the 2 assessments, you technically have through spring break to do those as well, but don't put it off. I would just knock them out today or tomorrow, maybe over the weekend, and just so that you can have a lovely spring break. They're super easy. You guys have any questions now?
I was wondering, because Objective 8 there's been so many notes that I sort of lost track of what notes were actually in Objective 8, so I don't know which notes to turn it. Like, was chapter 25 part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so if you're looking for a beginning of all this craziness,
yeah.
let's see, it started with, oh, memory lane. Here we go. Yep, I see you. Okay, it's got to be this sheet. Yeah, it started back here with genetics. Can you see that?
Okay.
And then we went into types of learning and behavior.
All right.
Okay, that's definitely right. This is helping me. Good, we're just getting things in order. Then we went to survival stresses.
Okay.
Which led us to courtship rituals.
Interesting.
Then courtship rituals led us to disruptions in behavior. Can you actually see that, or is it totally backwards for you?
No, I can see it.
Oh, good, good, good. Okay, so that goes here. No. Yep, like that. Okay. Then, oh, how did I manage that? Then we went to social behavior, and sociobiology. And then more recently, that's when we jumped to 25, which is confusing because then it's like, and thermoregulation. There. Oh yeah, because then, yep, then thermoregulation, that's still kind of a part of it. After thermoregulation was when we got into species diversity. And that's when we did, that's just this week where we did Simpson's index and invasive species. And then we made it back to yesterday, which were populations.
Yes.
And populations led to communities.
Today's work. Okay, cool.
Thank you, that helps me organize too. Although I realized the one thing I didn't bring home from school was a stapler, so. I'm using a lot of paper cups.
What was the genetics about?
I'm so sorry?
What was the genetics about?
Oh, sure. The first part was just, you mean the very first one? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. It literally, it was just about the connection between genetics plus, an outside environmental stimulus creates behavior. So it's not just the environment that's making you act the way it is, also what's in your genes makes you act that way. Any other questions? Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow, stay tuned, but I'll probably just show up at 8 anyway to answer any questions if anyone has any, go over any of the notes if anyone needs anything. I'm here for that. So I'll say goodbye, except for to Sneha, because I'm dying to know about this lizard. All right? And if you want to stick around for Sneha's lizard story, please, by all means, a good little breakfast story, heat up the coffee. Let's get ready for this one. All right, see you guys later, or let's hear it, Sneha. I'm excited.
So yesterday, probably around like afternoonish, I was like doing my work, minding my own business, and then I hear like this really loud scream, and I thought it was my neighbors because they're like kind of crazy and like they party a lot. And then I hear like my mom like trying to call my name. It's like I ran down the stairs because I thought she fell, and then I see her like on the stairs. She's like on the verge of crying. She's like, she has a huge phobia of lizards, like reptiles in general. So she was like freaking out, and I go and I'm like, I can't see it. She's like, it went under the fridge, and I was like, you can't do anything about that. And my brother was like, can you please like catch it, because this actually isn't the first time we've had a lizard in our house. This is the third time.
And what are we talking about here? Are we talking about like those little garden
Yeah,
lizards?
it was a little garden lizard.
Gotcha.
The first time it was in our guest bathroom downstairs, and then the second time it was just in the backyard. And so this time it was like in the kitchen, and so my brother and I didn't see it for a while. And we're like, okay, well, if it's under the fridge, we can't get it out. And so what we did was like, okay, let's see if we can call somebody and see what they can do. So I called like 4 places. The first lady was super nice. She was like, we can't do anything about it because lizards are like protected. They're like wildlife or something because they're good for the environment.
Apropos, right? You're like, okay, cool.
And I was like, I don't want to kill it. I just want to catch it and get it out.
Yeah.
And she was like, sorry, I can't do anything. And I was like, is there like any other services you know about or can call? And she was like, yeah, I can do that. And then she like searched up like services near me, and she's like, is Glendale close to you? I'm like, no. And she's like, sorry, I live in Arizona. And I was like, sorry, thanks.
Okay.
And while I was on the phone with her, I saw the lizard like crawl around near a trash can.
Okay.
And so like I was like, oh my gosh, I see it. And the lady's still on the phone. And I was like, okay, like please give me a minute. And my brother had just like gone upstairs. And I was like, hey, can you come back downstairs? I see it. And he came downstairs, and I ran to our garage to get a bucket. And by the time I came back, it was gone.
Oh, of course.
And so the lady was like, okay, good luck catching it. And I was like, thanks. And then I called another place, and then I called animal control, and they picked up, and I was like, there's a lizard in my kitchen. Can you guys like send somebody over that can help us catch it? And she was like, no, I can't do that because I don't know if she said the whole like protected thing, but she was like, did you catch it? And I was like, no, I don't know where it is. And she's like, well, I can't like send guys over to like try and run after it. And I was like, I thought that was
That's what you're supposed to do.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't even know if I have people right now. And I was like, okay, thanks. She was kind of rude,
Uh-huh.
considering I was having like a crisis.
Yes.
And so I hung up because I was upset. And so then my brother finally got a hold of somebody, and they're like, okay, we'll send someone over and like.
Wait, I just need to know, is your mom still like cowering on the stairs at this point?
She's like hiding in some room. We're like, Mom, don't come downstairs. Don't do anything.
Yes.
Because she's gonna be like telling us crazy suggestions. So she's just like out of this picture. She doesn't come back until like the guy finally comes. And so what I did, so we finally had someone coming. It was gonna take them like over an hour. So what I did was I just stood by the kitchen with a bucket in hand, trying to like track it down. And my brother stood by the stairs in case the lizard just happened to go up the stairs.
Protecting your mom. I love it.
Yeah. And so I had to stand in the kitchen for an hour and a half. I missed a Zoom session. I had to email the teacher, be like, there's a lizard in my kitchen. I can't show up to the meeting. And then, so finally the guy comes. Took him forever. And at that point, I saw the lizard again. It was behind one of our cabinets, like between the cabinet and the wall. There was like this crack that I guess it fit through.
Oh gosh.
And so I see it, it's on the wall, and I was like, I don't know if I can like get my bucket and trap it on the wall because I don't have to like hold it there until the guy comes.
Right.
And so it's like between the crack, it's like sometimes popping its little head out, and then sometimes it goes back in, and I'm just freaking out because it's like slimy and tiny, and its tail is really long. And so the guy arrives, and we're like, hey, we know where it is. Can you please catch it? And he was like, I can't do anything until you guys sign some papers. And I talked to my manager, and like we figure out like a service plan and stuff. Like we're like, is this not like a one-time like catching thing? He was like, no, we need to talk about other stuff. So he goes out to his truck, and like he calls his manager for like 10 minutes, and I'm just still watching the lizard. And then he comes back in and he starts talking about like the service plan and stuff. And this time the lizard comes out. It's on the ground now. It's still under the cabinet thing. And it's sticking its head out. And I start freaking out more because it's in the sun. And I was like, if it's in the sun, it's like warming up and like getting energy or whatever. And so
It's gonna pounce.
yes. And it's like his head is like slowly sticking out, and the guy's still talking to my brother, like discussing. And I was like, hey, it's coming out. Can we like please do something? He completely ignores me because he can't do anything. And
Oh my
it
God.
fully crawls out, and I was like, do I get my bucket and trap it, or do I just wait for the guy to like get his equipment and stuff? And I approached it with the bucket, but it was too fast, and I was too scared to like put it over the bucket. And so it like crawls over to like underneath like another cabinet thing we have, like a shelf. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything. And then so we finally figure out a plan, and we call my mom over, and we're like, Mom, come downstairs, like the lizard's in a corner, it's okay. And she's like, no, I'm good. And we're like, okay, at least come downstairs so you can talk to the guy. And she was like, no, I'll stay up here.
Oh my God.
And so like my mom's on top of the stairs talking to him, the guy's at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm still in the kitchen trying to like watch the lizard so we don't lose track of it. And so he goes, yeah, it's gonna cost $1,000. And we're like, to catch a tiny little lizard, because he had to like do other services. He had to like spray like a bunch of things and like make sure it was safe because lizards carry diseases or something.
Oh gosh.
And we're like, we can't pay $1,000 to catch a lizard, and it's a tiny one. So I was really scared that my mom was gonna like say, yeah, my kids are just gonna catch it. But he drove an hour, so I don't think he's gonna leave without doing something. So we finally negotiated, and it was still really expensive, but he had to like spray some things. He caught the lizard actually.
That's incredible. Finally.
It's really scary. And then he laid down some glue traps in case there were some other ones.
Yeah.
Because my mom, she was like, when she saw it, she was like, it's really big, it's super fat, and it's like really gross. And then I saw it, and it was like small and skinny, and I was like, are we talking about two lizards possibly?
Oh yeah.
So we're pretty sure my mom was just exaggerating.
Okay, fair.
And so he laid down some glue traps inside the house in case like there's more. And then he went inside our backyard, and he like searched, and he found a hole in our like wall or our pipes where the lizard might have gone through.
Oh, okay.
And he patched that up. So that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty much all he did. And then he like sprayed something on the floor. And then he like sprayed something that smelled like oranges. He was like, it's a deodorizer. It smelled good.
Well, that's good.
And then they'll be back in like a week to check if like everything's fine.
Good.
And that basically took all day. It was super exhausting.
I'm sure. Oh, full
And
lizard crisis.
I just wanted to do my homework.
Oh, I'm sure your mom is appreciative that you helped with the process.
Like after it happened, after he left, my mom couldn't go downstairs by herself. Like she was gonna go down to get dinner, and she was like, okay, you guys have to come downstairs with me.
Poor thing. She probably was up all night, just like under the covers, like hearing things.
Yeah. My brother and I stayed up late, and my mom woke up, and she was like, we're kind of teasing her, like, hey mom, did you have nightmares? And she's like, no, I can't sleep. I was too stressed out.
Too stressed out. More lizards coming.
And
Oh
the
my
funny
God.
thing is like she's like basically fearless of anything. Like she's not scared of anything else.
Yeah.
Like spiders, like any weird bugs, like she's totally fine with. Like she killed a wasp once, and like without batting an eye. And she grew up in like a country where like lizards are like super common. Like there'd be lizards in her house. So I don't know why she's like so afraid.
He had an
If she
incident.
like grew up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, she needs to tell you. She must have had some traumatic incident with a lizard.
Yeah, it's like reptiles in general, like snakes, frogs.
Oof.
She can't. Frog's not a reptile, but yeah, she's anything like that. She's
Yeah,
super terrified.
maybe she had a bad experience with like Jurassic Park or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
As you know, teachers talk to teachers.
Yeah,
And
because
I
I
got-
emailed Miss McCann.
Yeah, I got a
Because I had
hilarious
math
text.
assignment.
She's like, do you have Savannah? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, did you see her today? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, my session was really early though. And she's like, I think she had an issue with the lizard. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh, what happened?
Because we had math homework due, and I was like, I couldn't do it, and I know it was due today. I need an extension.
I love it. So
Yeah.
funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow morning, maybe.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Have a better day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks. See you later.